Hello, this is Archaag, and I'm going to present to you my latest project, Office. I'm going to walk you through this one from start to finish. I am now creating a square that's 21 by 21 meters. I will then extrude this square to a height of 29.7 meters. This way, the inside walls will have the same proportion as an A4 type paper. This is something that I consider to be a beautiful proportion and a perfect canvas for my later additions to the studio. I'm creating the thickness of the walls, 1 meter. Now I am building a stair that will enable me to access higher levels of this office. I intend for it to have 4, maybe even 5 such levels. In order to create the stairs, I need to take into account what's something useful and functional for a humanoid. I'm using my real-life experience as an architect to create this. In real life, we would probably go with less than 0.2 meters per step. That is because a comfortable height to go up on is 0.17 or 18 meters. But here in the metaverse, our avatar will never get tired, so we can do it like so. As you can see, I am multiplying the stairs and I'm copying the groups one by one. At a certain point, I will reach a platform. Now I need to determine where that platform will be. First, I need a lot more stairs and I want to bring them together. I need to have some pretty good free space at the beginning of the stair. I will have the same amount of space right here in the middle, and I'm going to have a similar space up. As you can see, now I have the staircase to reach my first level. I'm duplicating it, and I'm going to split it down the middle into 2 sections that have half the width of my original one, creating a surface, splitting the object, deleting the surface and the curve that I used to do this. Now we can go further, higher. I will take this platform that's 3 by 3 meters and use it for my end platform. I can create a duplicate of the stair, turn it around, and now I can go into the other direction. My plan is to have several different points where you can go inside the office, like galleries that would be at a certain height from where you can have a better view of the whole office, from where you can admire some of our collections, 3D assets, NFTs, or just hang out and maybe run around with friends. Once I create this model, it's very easy for me to duplicate it, and so I obtain all the levels pretty easy. As you can see, I have quite a few levels done already, but I'm careful to leave enough height for the last one so it doesn't seem too crowded. Now I need to position the stair properly and to try and give it thickness. This process is not easy. It would not be easy in the real life either, because whenever you are creating this, you will end up with distances that need to be covered, as you see right here. Copying the stair and moving it side to side will leave you with one step empty that needs to be reconstructed. It's not a problem because Rhino is a very versatile program and you can use it in order to model whatever you need. But it does take a little bit of time to do it properly. I will also take great care to make sure I have the smallest amount of surfaces possible. If we're talking about the metaverse, we have to understand that there is a limited amount of surfaces and vertices, which are the points defining a surface, that you can upload in a feasible way. In order to use them properly, your projects need to be as small as possible, while of course being as cool as possible. So what I'm doing right here is to trim and clean every single piece of it. If you have two surfaces that are in the same plane, you should create only one surface from them, just like I did here with this step. The same goes for the surface of under the stair. There should be only one surface, not two rectangles. Now that I did that, I can extrude the sides and move further. What I'm using right now is the ghosted type of visualization. This enables me to see through the surfaces and so take decisions having much more information than it would be available in real life. I can see edges that are not normally visible, but it's also a little bit confusing if the model is too complex. Here I'm still fine. I keep on constructing, and as you can see, I cut off the pieces that no longer require to be present. Okay, I'm basically moving forward with it. Now, this may seem like a tedious process, but it's going to make quite a difference when I'm talking about the total number of surfaces and vertices in your project. But it's also going to make a difference because every vertex you have that should not be there is just another point where you are going to snap without needing to. As you model, you can choose where your point or your line or your surface snaps onto another one. As you can see to the lower side of your window, I've just chosen end, mid, perp, which stands for perpendicular, and vertex, which basically means I can snap on any vertex present in the project. If I had more vertices than I needed, then I stand the risk of just snapping on something that I did not want to be there in the first place. And so I may have a mistake or a tiny error that just goes into be a bigger error much down on the road. As you can see, so far so good. I can make good progress with this stair, and I have to take it slow and create all these pieces one by one, making sure they look exactly as I envisioned them. I want this stair to feel present. I want it to have some thickness that is similar to what would be present in real life. But I also want it to feel airy. I want it to feel like something that just makes your project more accessible, meaning that through it you get to see the upper levels in a beautiful way, somehow similar to the real life, but still somehow unreal, somehow in a metaverse style. So I'm creating another surface right now. It's a planar surface, And of course, I'm deleting the curves after that because I want to keep it very, very clean. You will see it in just one moment. Right now, I need to make sure that the stairs are placed in the proper way, and I need to clean this surface between the two stairs. I need a small curve for the trim, and now that piece has been removed. I take great care at cleaning everything that is not supposed to be there. Again, I don't want to have mistakes later on. And as I move forward with it, I just join all the surfaces together. Up until now, we have 3 levels done, and we should have 3 more to go. Now, for the lowest level, what I'm going to do is to create a big staircase. The first flight of stairs are going to be wider, double in size than the others. Under these stairs, I want to have a certain space where most likely I will place some furniture that you would normally see in an office. Maybe something like a desk with computers and screens and whatnot. Maybe a sitting area like a lounge where you can talk with your potential clients and partners. But this is going to be much later down the line. Right now, I'm focused on this stair and how to integrate it later into that big shell that we saw at the beginning. That 21 by 21 by 29.7 meters. So, right now, as you can see, I have a bit more work to do with creating all these surfaces so that the stair has the thickness that I need. Basically, it's just a lot of extrusions that need to be made. Some cuts and trims as well. And whenever I need to work with an object outside of its initial position, I can just copy it on the side, do whatever I need to do with it, such as in this case, reconstruct that surface into just one surface, not joined surface of 2, and then replace it back. So you can already see some of my intention here. You can see that I have to search for the best way to approach this and to create the way I want things to look at the end of it. Of course, there's a big part of experimenting. There's a big part of just searching for stuff and not being certain what's the best approach to it. For example, here I considered for a bit creating the staircase like so, having a sloped underbelly and just great thickness. Too much of it, I'm down again to the initial size. Just searching for the best way of doing it shows you that the process is not easy and it takes a lot of time. It's also important, as I remember from my university years, not to fall in love with a solution, quotation marks in the air. Basically, our teachers told us not to stay with our first thought, no matter what. It's true, sometimes your first idea might be your best idea. You just might have a moment of inspiration that strikes you and that keeps the momentum going for the whole project. But that is rarely the case. Most of the time, you have to experiment quite a bit. You have to do the research, you have to try things, you have to attempt, fail, attempt again, fail, but maybe be just a step closer to what you wanted in the first place. So I have to look at this from all angles and to decide whether or not I like it. I have to admit sometimes that it was a wrong idea. And as you see here, I just ditched that initial sloped plane that I was using because I was not happy with the look of it. Some pieces are right from the start, some are not. Sometimes you just undo what you deleted and you get back at creating. By the end, or by certain point in the project, it should feel like pieces are coming together as a puzzle. It should feel like this is how they have to be. With many of my projects, I clearly remember this part where there is this moment when it all feels exactly as it should. This moment when you are surprised others don't see it exactly like so, because for you that is the perfect way to do it and actually feels like the only way to do it. But that does not come easy. That does not come right from the start. So right now we have a big flight of stairs leading upwards to the first level. We are going to have a passageway at the first level and a flight of stairs leading towards the second one. That's what I created so far, and I'm pretty happy with the way it looks. There is still quite a bit of work to close the sides of this stair. What I'm looking for is a complete volume. In order for my 3D asset to function properly, I want it to be a complete volume, a closed volume, so no points that have errors in it, no sides that do not exist. It needs to be something, again, as we used to call it, that holds water. You have to think about it as being constructed from something in real life. So here it has to behave in a very similar way, and I'm going to keep on modeling until it does look exactly so. As you see here, I'm just closing the bottom and joining it in. There are still more connections to be done, but first I have a problem here because there are two surfaces and I want them to be only one. As I mentioned before, I want the smallest number of vertices possible. Deleting the first surfaces, create a new surface from this, and then move it back in place. Delete the curve, and now it's just cleaner. The goal for me is to have a clean object, because right now we are at the start of the project, but there will be a moment when there are going to be so many different volumes and 3D assets in it that every single surface, every single vertex might count. I don't want to end up with a file that's too big or too difficult to navigate. Right now, I'm creating the last surfaces for the stair. I'm extruding some curves. deleting everything I don't need as I go away. Look, I'm creating another one here, but it's not the right way to do it. I have to take that one out and I have to create a surface that spans from one side to the other, because those two would have been in the same plane, and I just mentioned earlier this is not what I'm looking for. Take the two surfaces out, draw around them a closed polyline, delete the surfaces, and create a new planar surface from that contour. Then move it back in place and delete the curve. That's perfect. Now we can join them. And it's starting to look the way it should. Now, of course, there are other surfaces I need to join, and I need to constantly check to make sure everything is all right. If I want to cap this poly surface, what I'm trying to do is to put one planar surface to close it. But before I can do that, I need to join a little bit more and then check again to see where the problems are. These purple lines enable me to see in which point the surfaces are not joined well together. I might have to reconstruct some of the surfaces, and while I don't like this, I just need to do it. In the end, the result is everything that matters. This part here that you're viewing right now took about half an hour. And it might have been simple, but as you can see, there were some trial and error before everything looked the way it should and behaved the way it should. So the whole project is going to take so much more. As you can see, I'm trying to create the sides. I'm joining them together, and I will probably check soon to see if they are willing to cap. Well, it seems like not, and I still have some work to do. Again, checking, trying to see where the problem lies. Yep, sometimes it can get pretty frustrating. Sometimes you just feel like deleting everything and starting from scratch. But it can be fixed. The good thing about modeling software, an architecture or design software, and Rhino is such a software, is that they are not creative on their own. They will never act in a variable way, because this is what creativity means, introducing variable thinking where algorithms would have been enough. Every software that we use for architecture or design just does whatever we tell them to do. They do not take decisions that we cannot quantify. They are not creative on their own. So if the software has any particular issue, it's no use of being angry with it, or it's no use of thinking making things the same way would provide you with a different result. You just have to fix that issue by addressing the software exactly the way it wants to be addressed. What I'm doing here is making sure I don't have extra vertices. I'm creating the contour of the side, joining all the curves together, having one closed curve, checking to see that I have the minimum amount of vertices and create the surface to go with it. Now I can take it and paste it in place. Looks good. I can probably use this one for downstairs as well, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Copy and paste. Okay, I can close that gap as well. And I'm one step closer to constructing every bit of that staircase. Joining them together, it still looks like an open poly surface. What I need is to turn this surface around, take it here, copy it, place it once more downstairs, make a little bit more room, now join everything together, and it's still not working. Something is still off. Again, this can be a little bit frustrating, and I need to figure out what's the problem. The purple lines are very important in telling me where that problem may be. Joining everything, cleaning everything, making sure if I delete the whole thing, there's nothing else left. That's why you see it deleted a couple of times. This tells me there are no surfaces that I just lost in the process and are somewhere there just messing with my project. But as you can see, there are purple lines where they should not be. I don't know what's the problem with this particular edge. It should work properly. So I'd rather delete it, put it back, join it, join again, and see if that solved it. Another analysis, and I'm nowhere near that. Frustrating, right? Take those pieces out, put them back in. Sometimes it just doesn't make any sense. It might be just a bug. It might be just something I do not see. It's easy when you have to work with hundreds of surfaces at once to miss out something. That's why you should remain calm and just try it again. Of course, sometimes it may get way too late in the evening, and it'd probably be better to call it a day and just try again later. But we're not going to do this here. I will see this through somehow. As you can see, we have over 1,300 edges. Those are the lines between surfaces. So we are talking about a high number of elements to work with. Again, I will try to extrude. I will try to trim this surface again, and so end up with the side for it. If I join, it's still an open poly surface. There is still an issue with it, but it looks better than before. So I'm going to just take them out, and it does not want to cap. Okay, no worries. Checking for distance. Changing the units and going with units that have great precision. Basically, I'm adding more zeros at the end of the distance that I measure. Now again, distance is 0.20000, so everything is okay. It seems that I've worked with the proper precision. Everything is fine. I still don't get it, and I don't know what happened. But if you've seen quite a few projects by now, if you've used the programs quite extensively by now, you're fine with it. You're like, we're gonna figure this out together. Join, still open surface. It still has those purple lines signifying that that type of join is not proper made. So I'm going to try something that may have no logic, but it's just an alternative solution to this issue. I'm extracting all the surfaces from this particular flight of stairs. I'm taking them out one by one, and I'm going to join them together. And now I'm going to join the two poly surface, and I have one closed solid poly surface. So it works just fine right now. I changed nothing. I just had to redo it so that the software understood it properly. I'm again making visible the big shell, and I have my stair ready. I'm pretty excited for what's to come because I feel it already looks great.